Okay, I'm here with Louise Potter, the Ohio State broker for EXP. Hey, Louise.
Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
Good. Thanks for being on today. So I wanted
Of
to
course.
talk to you about, as an agent, what is our responsibility in verifying proof of funds or pre-approval letter? And let's talk about it from as a buyer's representative and as the sellers.
It even goes beyond proof of funds and things like that. It's verifying that this person is a valid, buyer.
Yeah.
And it also goes into, is now the right time for this person if they are a valid buyer, and can they buy what they say they can? So,
Well, and we had brought this conversation up because you said we're starting to see a lot more fraudulent.
we are, and there are people out there that how they're getting their kicks or whatever by pretending to be valid real estate buyers. And one of the things they're doing is they're getting into big houses and expensive houses. And what are they going to do with that knowledge of getting into that house? Are they looking at alarm systems? Are they unlocking windows while they're in there?
Right.
There is a nefarious reason typically for them to do that, or they just get their jollies with irritating real estate agents. They're writing offers, they're coming right up, and then they're ghosting people.
They had a bad experience with an agent, and now they have a vendetta.
Yeah, that the mask and the cape usually gives them away, but it's but it is, we've even seen people give fraudulent financial statements. One was copied straight off online. It was a sample of one.
But I imagine though, there's I can see it pretty plainly. If you're a listing agent and there's a lender involved, calling the lender, the seller would probably want, they would probably ask you to call the lender to confirm, right? So that makes sense. But
that does make sense. And the lender may not be able to give you information, but they can at least say yes or no if they're working with somebody.
That's accurate.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
But
right.
if it's cash and it's proof of funds,
well, a lot of times these people are fly by night. I mean, they come in, they're calling you on a house. Oh, they love it. They want to write on it. They've got cash. They've inherited money. They've got to spend it right away. You got to listen to the story. I mean, it's just like a phishing email or something like that.
Right.
It almost has a false address to it. So, to me, the problems that we see, and we see, with the agents we have, we do see problems.
Of course.
And 9/10 of those problems could be averted by using a buyer strategy session.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that for the people in the back?
Buyer strategy session.
I assume that you also recommend getting a buyer agreement signed.
Absolutely, during that buyer strategy session.
This happens before or after you show them a house?
This typically should happen before, because you want to make sure now's the right time and they actually can buy a house.
Right.
And that person who has something other than a legitimate reason to be looking at houses, they're not going to sit down and meet with you.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, agents say, they won't meet with me. I can't get them in there. I have to go show them a house.
No.
You haven't lost anything. They're not a client. They're not even a customer. They're really not even a prospect. So
I agree, but that is a different mind shift, right? Because a lot of people do think that. And it's the same philosophy of, well, I've showed them 600 houses over the last 5 years. I'm going to keep showing them houses. And it's no, you're actually if you Pop-Tart up and show a house without a process, the chances of that following through are really slim. The same with after you've been helping them for 5 years and showing them 600 houses, you're wasting your time.
Well, that buyer strategy session educates them into what they can anticipate throughout the entire process.
Right.
I have an 8-step one that I have used for years and years and years, because I learned that it was a waste of my time to actually go show houses to people without making sure they could buy it.
Oh, nice.
I love houses and I love looking at them, but my time is a little more valuable than that. So,
is it a written down process that's shareable, or should we just do another video on it?
We can do another video on it. I'd be glad to do that.
Cool.
But if you sit down with somebody and you find out, it starts with, talking to them about what they want, what their hopes and dreams are. If you had all the money in the world, what would your house have? Okay, now out of that, what do you have to have? Have you looked at new construction? It goes through the documents, it goes through the process so that they understand about earnest money. I give them a copy of the contract to read right then.
Well, I think it also helps them understand like how we get paid, and
Yes.
that we can help them with not only things on the MLS, but things that are off market, like maybe for sale by owner, or like you said, new construction. But like for me,
Absolutely.
when we do buyer consultations, it's like I'm looking for people, I'm interviewing them too. Like, can I work with this
Absolutely.
person? Are they reasonable? What is their time frame? Are they renting now? Do they have to sell their house now? Are they motivated? Like, why are they moving? What is causing this?
Well, you find out if they're a 1, 2, or 3. Do they have to find a house right now?
Mhm.
Do they need to sell before they buy, or are they just tire kicking?
Right,
So I'm going to spend my time with these first two. I'm
right,
not going to spend all, when somebody says, I've been working with these people for 5 years, that's your fault.
right.
Shame on you,
Yeah,
because that person was a 3. And
yeah.
you're spending all this time showing them houses and they're not about to buy.
But let's go back to the original question. Okay, so a buyer comes in, let's say they agree to a buyer consult, they meet you, whatever, wherever, Starbucks or wherever you're gonna meet. They already have like a lender in place.
Mhm.
What is our like obligation or responsibility to confirm that? Or what do you think we should be looking for?
Well, if they already have a lender in place, I want a copy of their pre-approval letter.
Mhm,
I want the name of the lender. I want his contact information. And
mhm.
even if they say that he can't share information, I can verify that they have that client.
Right, exactly. But what if it's cash? See, the cash is what becomes a little bit harder, right?
Well, you need to tell me who your financial planner is. What is the information that I'm going to share with the seller?
Mhm.
And that at least they have to give you something. You can call that financial planner. They may not share anything with you.
But
Or
they
you
can
can ask,
confirm.
you can ask too, can I have permission just to confirm with your financial planner? I want to make sure, just like you would want any buyer for your home to confirm that they are
Right.
legitimate. I need to check with your financial planner just to be assured. I don't need to know how much, but just to be assured that you're capable of buying this home.
But I think like what you're saying is true. If there are potential clients that you're following your process and they're getting upset,
Mhm.
you're probably not a good fit, especially but this process has to
Sure.
be the same for everyone, right? Like everyone goes through
Right.
the same process. Like we do a buyer, we do a buyer consultation or strategy consultation. We agree if we're going to work together and sign a contract. We confirm funds. Like this is everybody does it. And if it doesn't work for you, not a problem.
Systems keep us safe.
Exactly.
They do. They keep us safe for fair housing reasons. And they also maintain friendships, because if you skip a step with a friend,
Ooh,
9
that's
times out of 10,
worse.
they're not your friend down the road. But what you do for one, you should do for all. And, I learned it very early on when I was doing my very beginnings of my buyer strategy session. And the lady that I was talking to, she was a lovely person. I really loved her from the open house that I met her in. And we got to the financial section and she burst into tears. And I said, I'm sensing a problem. And
You have such a keen sense of awareness.
yes, I know. I just picked up on that. I mean, she's sobbing at the table. And it turned out she could not buy right then. She had an ex-husband who left her in a very bad place. And so what I did was I had a lender come in and we sat down with her. We put together a 2-year plan for her.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
wouldn't you
kept
rather know that now than
oh,
after showing them 5 or 10 houses?
absolutely. And so we put that plan together. I kept in touch with her every month. She referred 5 people to me over the next 2 years that I sold
Nice.
houses to, and then
Perfect.
sold her a house. So, there was benefit to it.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't spend my time showing her a house because if she can't buy right now, whose fault is it?
Yours.
Mine.
Right.
It always
If she's
becomes mine.
looking. Yeah.
If she's looking and I'm showing her houses, that's my fault, but that's my bad. for allowing that to go
Well, and I
on.
think like if people are concerned, so there's a couple of things at play, right? It's like, so the analogy that I usually use, it depends on the person, but I'll say something either like, hey, it's like looking for a puppy and you rent an
Mhm.
apartment, you're gonna find a puppy. And then you're gonna find out your landlord doesn't allow puppies. Like how
Right,
heartbreaking is that? I don't want you to cry. I say, I do
right,
not want you to cry. Or
right.
I'm like, have you been watching the market at all? And they'll be like, yes, I have. And I'll be like, the sellers will not accept an offer without a pre-approval or proof of funds. So we have to have that. Like you just have to.
Well, that's where strategy comes in. So
Mm-hmm.
what we're going to do, let me explain to you, Jennifer, how I work. I use those words all the time. Let me explain
Mm-hmm.
to you how I work. You and I are going to sit down first because we need to be prepared and
Right.
make sure we're doing the right things because this market does not have any room for mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
none whatsoever.
None. That's a
So
good
we're
way to
going to
put
sit
it.
down and we're going to put together our strategy
Right.
for working with you as a buyer. And during that session, I'm going to review every step of the process because when we get into it, it's going to be hot
It's
and
go
you
time.
have to be ready.
Right.
And this is great. You've got this pre-approval from this lender. Let's go ahead and go through the process.
Yeah.
Let's put you through underwriting.
Right.
Let's get you just subject to an appraisal because then we're more competitive with cash. So those are the kinds of things
Those are the
I'm going to
things.
do.
Yeah.
So we're ready, boots on, ready to hit the ground running,
And I think if they push back or they give you a hard time or I've literally had people scream at me before, you just calmly say, it sounds like you've done this before. What
Mhm.
what realtor did you use?
Right.
I would recommend contacting them.
Perhaps I'm not the right person to help you, but we'd be glad to find you somebody, or you're more than welcome to choose to work with someone else because this is how I work.
Or hello, are you there? I lost you. Hello, click. Don't yell at me.
Yeah. No, we don't have to take abuse from anybody,
No,
ever. We can very politely say, if you continue to speak to me like this, I am going to hang up now.
right.
Or, whatever. I'm not the person to help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We tend to give ourselves away
yeah.
in the search for that client, and we give ourselves up and quit being who we are. You know
Have
what
you
I mean?
seen that meme that it's like your guacamole, baby? You know, like
Yeah.
guacamole is always
Yes.
extra. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's, you've got to be yourself and you've got to set your standards and you should
Right.
stick to them.
Yeah.
You absolutely should stick to them. And if you have a system in place, you are so much stronger than if you are at the whim of the market.
Yes. Agreed.
It just makes such a difference. Again, this is a business.
Right.
And if you want a 40-hour-a-week income, you better be working 40 hours a week at it.
Right.
And you better have that system to keep you on track because you don't have time to waste on things that pull you off track.
That
And
are
there are a
right.
few of those in this industry.
Yeah. So
Just a few.
what my takeaway here is if you're not doing like a buyer strategy or buyer consultant like meeting, go ahead and do that.
Yes.
And on both sides, verify proof of funds, verify pre-qualification and letters. Like it's normalize this to
Right.
verify. It's in the best interest of all parties involved in the transaction to make sure that the money is there.
Right. And this is pretty much with people you don't know. So, if you've got a personal referral from your sister,
I would still do it.
I'm going to do it because I'm going to do it for everybody, but I have more faith in it.
I don't know. To me, it's all the same. Like
Well,
I don't know
it.
your finances. I'm not in your bank account. Like I don't care if you're Billy
I'm
Bob
still
or
going to verify, but I'm still going to do a buyer strategy. I'm not going to change that, but I'm
Yeah.
going to be more confident.
Gotcha.
I know. That's why I like to build a business of people that refer to me.
Yeah,
as opposed
that makes
to
sense.
having to go out and beat the streets for new business.
Well, that's where we part ways. That's okay. Well, Louise, if people have a question for you, of course, if they're at EXP, they can use the chat. But if they're
Absolutely.
not, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can either call me on my cell, 614-226-6981, or they're welcome to reach out to my email, Louise, Louise, Potter exprealty.net.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on.
Thanks, Jennifer.
See ya.
See ya.